Hey everybody, today we're talking about ABRSM Grade 2 Timpani Solo, The Guard by Nick Wood. And this is really fantastic. Nick Wood is the principal timpanist of the Concertgebouw Orchestra in Amsterdam, Netherlands. A fantastic timpanist, really amazing timpanist. In fact, one of the first international orchestras I ever saw was Concertgebouw with Nick Wood playing timpani, and they were doing Shostakovich 7, which was really amazing. So this is really cool that he's written a piece for the ABRSMs. The Guard, okay, we're gonna start timpani solos the way we always do. We gotta figure out what pitches we need, what notes we're going to play. And as always, the composer writes in A and D, which is fantastic, but we need to know how to read bass clefs so we can figure out which one's which. Okay, now the first note we see in the first measure is 3 lines up, G, B, D, that's our D, and the next note we see is in bar 3, and that is the first space of the bass clef. That is going to be our A, okay? So we have A is the low drum, D is the high drum. Now to tune the drums, there are lots of different ways to tune the drums, and all you really need is something that produces a pitch that you can get into your ear. You can use a piano, a guitar, a glockenspiel, a friend with a trumpet, whatever you need to get a really good pitch in your ear. And today, I have these amazing tone bars here that produce a really nice clear sound for us. Ooh, that's beautiful. That's an A. So what we're gonna do to tune the timps, we're gonna take the pedal all the way to the bottom. We're gonna hear this A, we're going to play this A, really listen to it, and then we're going to tap on our drum, and we're going to slide it up. Do you hear how we get that? Can you hear that? Okay, we're going to slide it right up until it matches this A. Let's try it. Go. Very nice. Okay, do the same thing with the D. Here we go. Really take the time to listen to it. Make sure it's in your head before you start tapping on the drums right away, okay? There we go. Very good. And I encourage you to practice that every chance you get, and to work with your teacher on tuning the timpani. It's really nice to have someone who can hear it as well. They're not always going to be really perfect, but we always try to get them as close as we can, all right? Depends on how good your school is keeping your drums up, I suppose. Okay, the next thing I take a look at is the time signature. We all know about time signatures. This is in 2/4. Top number tells us we have 2 beats per measure. Bottom number tells us what kind of notes those will be. A fourth, if we think of fractions, it's quarter note. So 2 quarter notes per bar, piece of cake. Next thing I do is take a look at any instructions the composer has given us. And the first instruction they write is usually just above the first bar. And in this case, Mr. Wood writes moderato. Moderato, we've talked about moderato in grade 1. And moderato is middle of the road. You know, not too much this way, not too much that way. It is a moderate or medium level. So a moderate tempo, probably. Right next to it, the composer writes quarter note equals 96. This is our beats per minute. So if you enter that into your metronome, this is what 96 sounds like. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1, 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Now we have a really good sense of what we're going to play. And oftentimes I like to look at the title of a piece to see if that helps me understand how I should feel when I play, because I think it's really important that we're communicating something when we play. And this is called The Guard. So you might think of this as quite a militaristic thing. You might think of people in very neat uniforms with lots of medals, maybe like a really formal military ceremony where they're all dressed up in their very nice outfits. And that might help you get a little bit of an image to play when we're playing this. The next thing I do is go through the dynamics, and we discover other instructions as well as we go along. We're going to start in forte, nice strong tempo. There's some accents in here. You'll notice right away 1, 2, 3. End of measure 3, there's an accent on the low A. 4, 5, measure 5, there's an accent on 1 and 2. Okay, so we're really going to make sure, particularly with timpani, accents have to be played a little bit more to really stand out from the other notes. Okay, then we're immediately to mezzo forte at the end of measure 6 with a nice long decrescendo leading to piano. Now we're going to stay in piano for a while. This is really nice. There are some accents in there, and we see one of our first instances in the ABRSM series in measure 13 of a staccato note. Okay, those are the first 2 beats. You can see there's 2 little dots underneath them, and those are staccato. Now there are a lot of techniques of how to play staccato when you're playing timpani. I would say don't let any technique get in your way of playing good time. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift as fast as I can off the head. So I'm already lifting, bouncing and lifting, and we're at piano in this situation here. And in order to get staccato, I'm gonna get these off here as though this were an extremely hot surface. Instead of, I'm gonna play, okay? Trying to get really staccato. Staccato means short. I probably should have told you that. Staccato means short. So as short as we can play that. Carrying on, 13, 14, 15, we have a nice crescendo to forte. And during that trill, we're going to decrescendo down to piano. And above that, we have 3 little letters, R-I-T, which is an abbreviation for the word ritardando. And that means to slow down. Now, in this particular case, I don't know if it's an editing error, but the rit happens right at the very end of the bar. So I'm not really sure if they just want us to sort of barely pull back. But either way, even if it were at the beginning of the bar, there's not a lot of time for us to slow down. So I feel like you're just going to hit the roll and make a nice little let down into the D, or into the next note of the next bar. So we're going to play, if we're cruising 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1, 1 and 2 and 1. Okay, we'll just try to slow down, like as if we were running into a big puddle of mud. We were running really fast, and then we hit the mud, and we just come to a grinding halt. Now, in this next bar, measure 18, again, another first, I believe, in the ABRSM series, and that is this little half moon with a dot in the middle. That is called a fermata, and a fermata means that we are going to hold. We are just going to play that D. We're going to come off of this roll, and we're going to wait. Fermata, fermata, fermata. And then we're going to come back in measure 19 at what it says. It says A tempo, which you might think like A tempo, any tempo. But what that means is A tempo, as in the very first tempo. And the very first tempo, we remember, is 96. So we're going to return to our original tempo here. And we're going to come in when we're ready. So basically, you have all the time in the world. When we do our play-alongs, I'm just going to count you back in because otherwise you'll have no idea when I'm about to come back in. So I'll go ahead and count us back in. But in your particular case, take as much time as you want. You play measure 17, 1 and 2 and 1. Fermata, fermata, I'm taking my fermata, and now I'm ready to play. Okay, I kid, don't take that long, but take as much time as you want there and reset. 19, we are at double P. Double P on timpani requires a lot of lifting and just barely letting the sticks just fall, letting them bounce right back up. Okay? Otherwise we get it, if we're holding on too tight, we can sort of get a little bit of muting going on. Okay? Carrying on this line, at the end of this line, this is a part where sticking, we've talked about sticking before. I think sticking is very important, and it's something you should consider, and it's something you should talk to your teacher about. There will be occasions where I might suggest a sticking, and again, take it or leave it. But here, at the end of this line in measures 22 and 23, what I think would be really nice is to play with doubles on that low drum. So you're going to have 1 E and a 2, left, left, right, okay? And what we're going to aim to do is keep those as even as possible. Keep them super even. Okay? Carrying on through the next 3 bars, then we have a bar of silence, and then we are back to forte, playing forte through the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars with a big crescendo to fortissimo, and then immediately decrescendo those 8th notes, taking careful consideration that each note is just slightly quieter than the one before. You have 3 bars to come down to about mezzo forte, and then we have these staccato notes here at the end, and I'm cheating a little bit if you'll notice in the performance at the beginning. I'm actually throwing a little bit of muting in there to help with my staccato. And 1 and 2 and 1, okay? I'm trying to lift fast to create a staccato, and I'm also going to put a little bit of muting in there. And 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and a 2 and 1. Okay? Very good. Now I think we're ready for our play along. We're going to play along with the metronome, and we'll do it at a lot slower tempo, and I'll count aloud for you. And then I'll also have a play along where you can play along with the performance tempo. And again, just a reminder, when we get to the fermata in measure 18, remember that fermata? Measure 18, I will count us back in, okay? And I don't take a lot of time in my ritardando. I just sort of 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? You'll catch it. Let's get ready for our play along. Okay, now we're ready for our play along. Before each and every timpani play along, we're going to take a quick second to remind ourselves of 2 things. 1, playing spot. If you've done your grade 1s, you know all this. We're going to play right in the heart of this pizza. As you put your sticks out towards the lugs, we're going to play in between the 2 lugs and in the same spot. We talked about how the middle is a cool sound, but not what we're after, and the edge, also cool, but not what we're after. Right now, we're after a nice full sound, okay? Right there. And we're going to do the same thing on this drum. And keeping that consistency is really important. The next thing we're going to remind ourselves of every time we play is to lift, okay? We're going to drop our sticks and lift them right back up where they belong. We're never playing down and into the drums. See that? We're not doing that. We're always lifting them straight back up. Great. Let's give this a go at quarter note equals 76. A lot slower, making sure that we've really got things solid before we move on. 1, 2, a 1 and 2, and here we go. 1, 2, and 1, 2. 1 and 2 E and a 1 and 2 E and a 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 1 and 2, 1, 2, a 1, 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and lift, accent and 2, a 1, a 2, a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 1. Just because we have a metronome. Now I'll count you back in. 1, 2, here we go. 1 E and 2 and a 1, 2 E and 1 E and rest, and a 1 E and a 2 and 1 and left, left, run, and 2, a 1, 2, 1, 2, mute, 2, 1 E and 2 and a 1. Accents here, 1 E and 2 and a 1. Accents here, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, a 2, a roll, 2, 1 and 2 and decrescendo, 1 and 2 and mute and 2, mute, mute, 1 and 2 and 1 and a 2 E and a 1. Very good, very good. Try to play along with that, and as always, you can always rewind and take a look at a very specific bar over and over again. And as always, if you have any questions, please write in. I can make another video, or I'll answer your email right away. And following this, we'll have one more play along where you can count in and play at performance tempo. Hope you're having fun. Talk to you later. See ya. 1, 2, a 1, 2, ready, play.